Thank you for being back. Maybe we could just kind of start because it is 9:30, 10:30 p.m. your time. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. My name is Masako. I am Executive Director of J-Collabo. We are thrilled to have this opportunity to talk about US-Japan collaborations in space and art, a journey through PION. What's so special and exciting about this discussion today is we have amazing speakers who have expertise in US-Japan through very different categories that seemingly do not usually come together. The first one would be, of course, space. So we have Garvey McIntosh, NASA Attache at the US Embassy Tokyo, a very exciting seasoned US-Japan diplomat that have enabled a lot of amazing initiatives through NASA's efforts. And we're excited to hear a little bit more about your experience in the field and a lot of the project. I'm sorry, there's like a lot of things coming up on my phone at the same time. I was like, and of course, we have Yasuo Nomura, conceptual artist, contemporary artist based in New York. He's an artist residency artist at J-Collabo. We're very excited to have you both talk about your initiatives. A little bit, I'm going to start a little bit with J-Collabo. We are a nonprofit art institution that fosters Japan-US cultural exchange. We have a Brooklyn-based exhibition space and studio practice where we encourage artists to come from Japan to come here to create art, interact with people, experience things that can only be experienced here, meet people who they could only meet here, and enhance their artistic activities and discipline. We believe in how embracing uniqueness and diversity is only an enriching experience for the artist, and how, as a contemporary artist, to reflect different point of views and perspectives is so important. So we want to kind of do a concentrated opportunity of bringing in these amazing talents from Japan that can do so by realize how unique they are by being in a very different environment, which is New York. And it also happens to be the art mecca of the world. So there's a lot of, as a hub of the art world, a lot of interaction happens here. So it's a really exciting thing for emerging artists that I think Yasuo Nomura is an artist that came initially on a cultural ministry grant from Japan. So it's basically a mini ambassadorship, bringing Japanese uniqueness to the States to explore artistic practices by being here in New York. And it's been a few years, but at J-Collabo, it was more of a concentrated effort to develop his practice of experimenting with the next dimension. So Yasuo believes there is a next dimension after the first dimension, second dimension, third dimension. The fourth dimension onwards has not been experienced yet fully. And in order to do so, we need to do that gravity-free. So he has a practice called PION, where he wants to bring his theory to practice by putting his art in a gravity-free environment. In a nutshell, that is the project of PION, and that is the reason why he is involved in space for his artistic practices. And through a little bit going back to J-Collabo, we, as I said, we believe in US-Japan cultural exchange, and we believe there's so much unique opportunities that Japanese culture and history can provide to United States and those who encounter. And of course, the artists that come from Japan to encounter local artists in New York, or other traveling artists that come to New York that make the fabric of New York unique. Those are encounters that we provide as a program here at J-Collabo. And we're really excited to have artists that are interested in categories that are very contemporary, like Yasuo, being here, because he brought together not only artists, curators, collectors, of course, architects, philosophers, marine biologists, literal rocket scientists, are here together in his tiny little Brooklyn studio space, kind of becoming a hub of exciting ideas and thought processes. And by coming here, he has met collaborators such as Spacetainment. It's a company, it's a space startup, originated in Japan with Kaho Sakakibara, still in her 20s, a young entrepreneur, co-founded by Yasu Yamazaki, and the headquarters of Spacetainment currently is in Singapore, where he is now as well. Spacetainment comes from a word space, entertainment, spacetainment, and it supports creative opportunities to enrich lives of people in general through the keyword of space. Ultimately, they will be building a hotel in space, but before that, we're going to start with on-Earth experiences. And my role at Spacetainment is actually to be in charge of all art initiatives and for the holdings, as well as US operations. So I wear a lot of hats, but that's my little separate component that brings Yasuo's project to logistical life. And we will talk a little bit more about how the art practice itself is, but I wanted to kind of touch upon how by being here, Yasuo's project has become something of bringing Japan and US together to create a unique opportunity that is actually physically at the International Space Station as we speak. So enough about me talking. I am so, as I said, honored and excited to have you, Garvey, on our talk today. It is, I know you say don't say it, but I can't help it. It is a true honor to have the opportunity to talk to you. You are such an advocate for United States and Japan friendship, diplomacy through a lot of different ways, but of course space, and how such a significant impact your role has played to bring a lot of initiatives that we see today happening at NASA International Space Station, all over the space industry altogether, has come to be. And we would like to learn a little bit more about the past initiatives that you have led or you have observed that we might want to learn more about, and of course upcoming initiatives as well, because you gave me a hint the other day about how even Artemis and all these upcoming big ticket items are, a lot of the key components do have to do with US-Japan relationships as well. So Garvey, if you could turn your microphone on and sure. Ask you to, hi.
Sure.
And if you could introduce yourself very quickly and talk a little bit about the projects that you have been working on.
Sure, thanks for having me on. And, you know, thanks, Shiba-san, for all your leadership in terms of getting art and space coming together. You know, I've been at NASA for almost 20 years now. I started at NASA in 2003. Worked most of the time at NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C., and had the privilege of representing Japan here representing NASA here in Japan for the past about almost 6 years. And so I just maybe talk a little bit about how we got to where we are today and how projects like yours are kind of what we envisioned at NASA to kind of be what we want for space, and not only just governments like United States and Japan carrying out activities, but also different kind of innovative ideas, new ideas, bringing commercial companies, and then now, you know, bringing art up, which I think is very unique and kind of original. And I think that's what governments should do. Governments like NASA need to build the platforms and build the infrastructures so that really smart people like yourselves and Nomura-san and others can use these platforms for the benefit of mankind and come up with these innovative ideas. So as I said, I've been at NASA for a long time now, 20 years. Yeah, so right now, the US-Japan partnership is probably at the best it's ever been. You know, we have broad collaboration with primarily JAXA, the Japanese Space Agency, in areas like this earth science. We have a lot of collaborations that are looking down together, work together, looking down at the precious earth. No matter how much NASA explores the solar system. We've been to all the way out to Pluto. We've sent missions to Mercury, Venus, almost every celestial body in our solar system. But one thing that we're sure of at NASA is that there's no other place like Earth. And there's no other place like Earth because we have a suite of satellites that go around the Earth every day that gives us all kinds of important information about our precious Earth. And so we work together with Japan very hard to better understand the effects of the changing climate and how we can better protect ourselves for the future in terms of just making sure that we here on Earth are safe. We want to explore the solar system. That's one of the initiatives of NASA, but we also have a very strong directive to make sure that we find out as much information about our precious Earth. And then going beyond Earth, we have a suite of missions that we go off in terms of robotic missions that go out to the solar system. As I said, we've been to we've been to Saturn and Jupiter and all the way out to Pluto. That's probably the longest mission that I've been, one of the longest missions, probably the longest mission that I've been in at NASA. I started NASA 2003. We launched a mission called New Horizons to Pluto. It took actually 9 years to get to Pluto. So imagine that it launches in 2006, but then arrives at Pluto in 2015. So we have a number of missions that go along the solar system. And one of the things that we do at NASA, a lot of people say, when you watch Star Trek or some other things, go where no man has gone before. That's not a very good concept at NASA. We want to go and send humans to places that we've been many times before. And so, that's part of our robotic missions is to send probes and satellites out of the solar system to learn as much as we can as we prepare to extend humans' presence on our solar system. And that brings us to our largest kind of mission at NASA, and that's human exploration. That's all the missions that we have that are trying to extend human presence out to the solar system. The anchor of that is the International Space Station. The International Space Station has had humans on it, for over 20 years now. So if people who are 22 years, there's never 22 years or above, they've never had a time where there weren't humans on the International Space Station. So we have continuous human presence on the International Space Station. Japan has been a very important partner on the International Space Station. They have the largest research module called the Japanese Experiment Module, or Kibo, on the International Space Station. They also have sent the H2 transfer vehicle that have brought food, water, supplies, experiments up to the International Space Station. So Japan has been a key partner in that. And as you know, all 11 Japanese astronauts have been to the International Space Station, including 2 females, Chiaki Mukai and Naoko Yamazaki. Japan just announced 2 new astronauts, one female astronaut who's only 26 years old. And so we're really looking forward to Japan making continuous collaborative efforts in terms of human spaceflight. And those are just some examples. We also collaborate in aviation aeronautics research. And also, we at NASA and JAXA together feel like we have a very important role to not only do these missions, but at the same time, inspire the next generation of astronauts, scientists, technologists. And so we also do a lot of space education, using the inspiration of space to make sure that we have leaders of the future in the STEM field, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So that's a really, really important part of NASA. So, we collaborate in all those areas. But I think what is really exciting about today is, we have a platform like the International Space Station. It's been up there for a while. We're starting to see a lot of commercial companies utilize the International Space Station more and more, which is an initiative that NASA started maybe a few years back that's trying to commercialize the International Space Station and take advantage of these innovative ideas to have them use the International Space Station. So we got to the point where we can actually fly art projects, and that's where you come in. And so those are kind of innovative ideas. Seeing Nomura-san, I think you guys launched sometimes early in March, right? Recently, right? Recently you launched to the International Space Station your artwork, and now the art is over at the International Space Station, which is pretty amazing. So these are the kind of innovative ideas that really make space exciting and makes really space for all. And so I just want to congratulate you and Space Entertainment for being able to launch that. And more importantly, congratulate Nomura-san for doing this and being the platform and kind of setting the stage for future art that's going to fly in space. So maybe I've talked too long, I'm not sure, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a flavor of the broad collaboration that we have in the United States and Japan. And more importantly, the role of the government, the role of NASA, and the role of JAXA is not just to do space for ourselves, but to do space for humankind and allow innovative, young, exciting people like yourselves and Nomura-san the platform to be able to do the exciting stuff that you're doing. So again, congratulations. Thanks for having me on. And I look forward to maybe some further questions. So I'll hand it back to you and let the real stars speak. And that's you and Nomura-san to talk about your exciting project. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely inspirational. Every single point. I mean, I'm going to even start with the fact that you even touched upon Star Trek. The cultural references get me. It is really exciting to think about how the space industry has been doing so much more than what we usually think of what NASA used to do. And we're so used to seeing like a mission. And like the other day, I was invited to, as part of NASA Social, to Kennedy Space Station to observe the launch of Commercial Crew 6 going to ISS. And I've had the privilege of talking to astronauts or those scientists that enable these amazing missions to go into space. And so much goes into these storytelling of humanity and why it needs to go to space, why we are doing it. And as you said, Garvey, it is a lot about there's no place like Earth. It is about thinking about humans and Earth and how precious this existence is of where we are. To see what takes to go into space, like it actually kind of really narrows down what we need to be in space, like air, food, basic things, or like, you know, human interaction, communication even. Now you have Twitter at International Space Station, which Wakata Hikoshi is like really actively doing back when he was there. No, it's really exciting to think about space and how we are connected to such a different element is like the norm nowadays. And I do want to talk a lot about more the recent development and how all 11 astronauts from Japan have been at the International Space Station and played a role, and the future opportunities. But I just want to go back and say thank you, first of all. Nomura-san, I want to talk to you if you could explain a little bit about your art project, PION, or maybe we could do this together and you could add a little bit more as comments about why, what this project is and why it's up there and how US-Japan relationships have enabled that to happen. I'm going to ask Nomura-san to turn your microphone on for a quick second. Okay. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm
So
really nervous because a very total English conversation. It is the very first time to English live for me. And by the way, Mr. Garvey, thank you for taking your visit time today. I'm very honored to be here with you, and very excited to talk and share our project to you. Yeah, and today I wanna very personal question, and I ask to very general question for you. Please take it easy to enjoy the conversation after that. And this time it's my time. So the PION project is next decade, so long my next destination for the space age. Actually, we human being step into the true space age era. So, and I'm most interest point is what's the most capability of our human society will make a new world into space. So which point of the potential to into space. So my art activity focus on the this point, and one of my perspective is issue of gravity, or a change of concept of space, like a dimensional space. Yeah. And PION is one of the idea to expand our common sense of space, like two-dimensional, three-dimensional space, like horizontal, left and right, front and back. It's a very regular axis. And up and down is a third axis. But this third axis is a very strong bias from gravity, you know? Our organism living in Earth, every organism affect from this gravity bias. But in outer space is possible to release of this gravity bias. If so, which the point of the change of our human body, sense of knowledge, everything change on base. So if so, which the point of art expand compare with the so far. So I'm very strong interest of this point. This PION, the background of my screen, it is my image of art satellite named PION satellite. It is my big dream, not to me, my friends, my supporters are making together, and overlapping our hope and wish together, and we will make actual art satellite, and will be launched to the outer space. And it is a very first experience-based art satellite. So there is a non-gravity bias. There is no gravity field. It is nothing of meaning of up and down, left and down, and front and back. So this time, our PION project will be held when to deliver the International Space Station. It is the first phase. So it's a total vision of my project. Please, Masako-san, I'm sorry, very broken
No.
English. And,
Sorry, I do have to stop you for a second. I don't see our live being shown. Nomura-san, if you could kind of work on it for a second. I don't see it in my screen anymore. And I'm not sure if there was some change in the format. But I do understand that this is being we will find a way to play what we have been talking about. It says contents on unavailable. Wait, some people are saying they see us, so I don't know. But just to kind of summarize the question, that was a question, or you were explaining your process?
Yeah, I just question to Mr. Garvey, because this PION project very came up with my idea from background of Japanese. And how long have you been living in Japan?
Oh, that was a question for me?
Yeah.
So a good question. So I guess I didn't talk a little bit about my background. So
Yes.
so this is my second time living in Japan. So I was an English teacher right after college in 1994, and I lived in Japan from 1994 to about 1997. Then I went back to the United States and went to graduate school. And then this time I've been in Japan as a NASA representative for 6 years. So I almost together, probably 9, almost 10 years total time in Japan. But two different times. A long time ago when I was very young, like Shiba-san, and this time now that I'm very old. So
No, you're not, but yeah.
I want
That's a
to take
long...
your class, by English class. If I yeah.
That was many years ago. I'm not studying with people anymore.
Much more good English speaker. So by the way, are there any characteristic of living in Japan that you feel are unique? Like a Japanese culture, Japanese style or something?
Sure. Yeah. So you know, I think a lot of things I like about Japan, which is why I'm back in Japan. Japanese culture is very unique, very unique to Japan. Things like kabuki. I like to go to kabuki, believe it or not.
Kabuki.
And I like Japanese food a lot. So so yeah, and then Japan is very clean and safe country, so I like that as well.
It's really exciting. I feel like a lot of the people who come to Japan are more Japan than those who grew up in Japan. And that makes for a really wonderful reason why you know so much about what is unique and can be almost like a selling point to those who do not know Japan, or those who are coming from the States or other cultures, like what to look for and be surprised together. And you have this wonderful, you are in a position, and you do so great in a wonderful way to share that experience with others. And the type of opportunities that NASA provides, and you individually as somebody that has been in Japan for so long provides as sharing excitement to others is really inspiring. Because I can't type it in right now, Nomura-san, I'm gonna have to ask you, you have to fix this link thing. I'm getting messages left and right and I can't listen. So I'm gonna ask you to do that while
I think also that's why you know, some of the things he asked is one of the reasons I think that Japan is such a good partner with the US in space. I think, you know, if you look at any big missions that NASA has, NASA almost always has to have Japan as its main partner. You look at big projects like the International Space Station, as I mentioned, Japan is a significant partner. Now that we're you know, continuing to utilize the International Space Station, but we're trying to go back to the moon in a program called the Artemis program, which many of you may have heard. You know, one of the key partners that we had to have in terms of collaboration on Artemis, which I didn't talk to in my opening much, but is Japan. Japan is we've already signed agreements with Japan on Artemis. We're building an infrastructure like a small space station around the moon that we feel is really important. Like the space station around the Earth has been really important for us. We're also building a small kind of space station around the moon called the Gateway. And we've already signed on for Japan, or agreed with Japan that Japan would have major contributions to that. And we have agreed to take at least one Japanese astronaut to the Gateway. And as we move along, on Artemis, in terms of what we would do once we get back to the moon on the lunar surface, Japan is going to build through Toyota, as you may know, kind of a lunar rover, a lunar cruiser, which will allow not Japanese, but all astronauts to go around the moon in a pressurized rover and to be able to explore more of the moon than we've ever known before. And that's going to be a key contribution. And maybe, hopefully, we'll be able to announce that we're going to also take a Japanese astronaut all the way to the lunar surface. So I think I guess the main point there is that, well, you asked me what I like about Japan. I mean, Japan is not only, the food is not only delicious and the people are very nice, but, Japan is a very, very technologically capable country, and Japanese people are very honest and hardworking. And so when we're looking at going to something as important as challenging, a lot of times there's a phrase in English that says it's not rocket science. Like, you do something, it shouldn't be that hard, and you go like, well, it's not rocket science. I think when we're doing what we're doing at NASA, it is rocket science. I mean, it really is really hard. And so if you're gonna go to space, as you know, space is really hard, space is really challenging. I think you want to go with someone that you trust, and that they're going to do what they say, and they have the capabilities to do that, because it is rocket science. And no matter what large project NASA has, probably the first partner that we're going to reach out to is the Japanese, because we know that Japan has the funding, and Japan has, and more importantly, they have the technological infrastructure and expertise and history on large projects like the International Space Station to be able to do what they're going to say. So I think that board is very encouraging for innovative ideas like yours, where you can bring together artists to fly things like the International Space Station, because there is that pipeline of Japan and the US being strong partners. And so I think you're going to find in the future, as you go along this business, Shiba-san, that you're going to have platforms like the International Space Station. But as we go further out into the solar system and go to Artemis, you would want to take some of these innovative ideas and also do those on the lunar surface as well. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. So, I wouldn't, just stop in low Earth orbit. You might be able to take some of these important art initiatives all the way to the moon one day as well.
Yes. No, thank you so much, Garvey. We will. We absolutely will. It's really an exciting time to think about what can be done. And, we're talking about like Gateway, and initially we talked about 9 years going to Pluto, but now it's realistic that we're having these initiatives of space and art. And it's not just conceptual as we speak. Even like what we see in the background of Yasuo's thing is PION in a sculptural format, which he plans to fly out as a satellite sculpture. So that will take a little bit more than the current PION that's up on the International Space Station. But the hope is that people could interact in space in gravity-free environment. And then it will even add more meaning to be in space, because you could only experience it in space. And then at that point, you could even encounter the next dimension. So it's a way of being freed from the conventional idea that we have to be tied down, we have to see things from a certain angle, go there and be surprised and encounter reflections or time lags, and think about how experiences can be so different potentially from people to people, and just by being in a different environment that can be experienced. So PION is kind of a symbolism to be open to different dimensions and possibilities. And yes, we would absolutely want to take it to space. And speaking of which, Starship just launched, and that's also really exciting. Big initiatives coming up. And as you said, Garvey, there's initiatives like Dear Moon that's going to go around the moon, but still it's a commercial entity, a private citizen going to the moon and back. And I would like to say that as J-Collabo, we are actually working with the founder of Dear Moon's first initiative, Yusaku Maezawa's Contemporary Art Foundation Japan, that's supporting Japanese contemporary artists. J-Collabo is one of the first official partners for the Americas to receive their emerging artists to study abroad in the States. We're very happy about this collaboration because we both believe that cultural exchange and bringing these artists from Japan to the States could enhance their activities. And the key word, surprisingly, is not space, but because I couldn't help but tie it in there as well, because there's a really visionary leader of that foundation that's literally going to space. He's already been to the International Space Station, that is going to the moon and back, bringing cultural figures with him. That's also symbolic, I feel like, in his own right, to think about how we're not doing this out of absolute necessity, but it almost is. To bring art is something that is exploring how we are in space and how people can think about different ways of being. How we think even about space is changing by doing so, I think. So we're really excited to be a part of this initiative of PION with Spacetainment. We have a lot of collaborators in this. Of course, NASA has been so great and supportive of bringing something that is so important to us as a symbolism of hope, a beacon of hope. Yasuo and I, of course, all want to go to space. So eventually we will. But first, our artwork is going as a symbolism of us going in the eventual future, and we will be interacting with the sculpture in space as well. I also want to say that we are trying to make that idea a little bit more personal and interactive by bringing it into a digital art format. So Yasuo's space art project and the whole initiative called PION Le Globe Tour is made into an NFT, a digital art form, where you could be a part of a project that is so out far as space. And like anybody could be part of a space art project by being involved in it, and your contribution, your support will become a whole new hologram installation that will be put into an Asian art museum in the near future, where I cannot announce yet, but very excited about how there's new ways that art can be brought to fruition with the advancement of technology. We see that at NASA in the space industry firsthand, and this project, as little it may seem, does involve a lot of support by that advancement and the explorations, that really dynamic and courageous explorations of the people before us that has enabled such art projects to be. So really excited about this opportunity. And I do say I'm sorry for all the people who are trying to log in, still having trouble, and I'm not able to respond. So this lag of technology advancement of how we get to have people on the moon and Gateway and Artemis and everything happening, yet we can't find a way to connect like a Zoom link to everybody to watch. It's kind of mind-boggling, but at the same time, maybe that's the symbolism, right? We need to work towards communicating with each other. That was a far tie-in, but I'm going to put it in anyways. It is about interacting with people. It is about communicating these stories. Like Garvey's, you're so wonderful because you are an ambassador to all of what NASA is doing. That's so exciting that it blows our minds. But without people like you telling this story, we don't even know how exciting things are happening in space. And I think art plays a little bit of a role to help that, to see how some things that we never thought had anything to do with us are happening by like taking a peek into these different perspectives. So it's really exciting to be talking about ways that you're doing this together. I think the key word that Yasuo's PION actually brings together is the overview effect.
Yes.
And that's something I feel like would be also not just in the US-Japan collaborations, but it also contradicts almost what I'm saying, because it's about to demolish borders altogether. Like you go into space, you don't see a country separated by lines or anything. One Earth, one humanity, one being, almost like one beautiful blue star that we have, Earth, and how that could change the human psyche. Like I always joke about this, but I'm actually not. I feel like for those who are anything that is causing trouble to disruption in Earth and everything, they should just go to space, and they should look at Earth, and hopefully the overview
by the
effect.
way, what would another my question to Garvey sir is the overview effect. So would you like to actually to go to space yourself?
Sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think the great communicators who've been in the space, like Koichi Wakata and others, do a good job of telling us what it's like. We can live space through their eyes. So I think, yeah, if I had a chance to go to space, I'm getting a little bit there in age now. So I don't think I'll probably have a chance to go. But if I had a chance, I would go definitely. But I'm happy, in my role at NASA, supporting the great astronauts and people who are allowed to go to space, whether they're private citizens like Maezawa-san, or astronauts who've trained, for many years and trained at NASA and in Russia, like Koichi Wakata. But I think, yes, if I had a chance to answer your question, I would definitely want to go to space. But I'm very much happy supporting and talking with and getting to know the people who have been to space, and more importantly, whether it's online or talking directly, kind of experiencing stuff like the overview effect, as Shiba-san said, and other exciting things about space through their eyes. Because I think, they're the people who are, many of them are really, really great communicators and really do a good job of explaining the excitement of space and the excitement of the overview effect to people, those of us who haven't had a chance to go to space. So yes, I would like to go, but if I don't go, I like to talk to people who have been.
Yeah. Because this my project will provide to overview effect living on Earth, because so many people cannot go to space actually right now, but future in future it is possible, but not yet. So how to get the feel of overview effect living on Earth. So it is my idea to connect the Earth and the relation to the Earth and the Earth, same project simultaneously. So it's the idea, and it's provide for people, spread for the world. It's a force of art. It's one of the force of the art, I think.
I think that's great. I think that's great. I think it's we need innovative ideas, like I said, to be able to, as you said, so far only a few people are going to space, but if we can use technology and art and other means to help others experience that, I think it's really, really good. So I think it's great.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting. I had the chance to talk to astronauts as well, and it's really interesting to think about how perspectives change, or like when you're in space, when you're at ISS for a long time, almost like time, spatial recognition and perspectives change, and how like we view things all together. It gives us a new way of thinking, even as something as simple as what we love, food. Like, you can't have fermented food. So there's like a whole new way of like, what am I gonna do? I love natto. Like, am I gonna lose a part of my cultural identity when I go to space? Or am I gonna find a new way to rediscover what's the roots of what do I love about natto? And I'm gonna be like a philosopher and write a book about natto in space or something. I don't know. But there's like new things that you discover about yourself that become so important. Like having a personal space also within the space? Like in that vastness, does it even mean anything? Or like, you know, that kind of ideas of thinking about what is so important to humanity as an individual at the minuscule scale of how I love natto is also really interesting for me. I wasn't expecting to think about that when I went to NASA. So through these interactions, I hope a lot of people get a chance to learn about themselves and culture and many different possibilities of, like, for instance, you know, I talked about Star Trek's, you know, Garvey, but I also love Star Wars. And forever, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. That hologram Princess Leia is like, it's sci-fi, but it could be happening relatively soon. It's hologram and a lot of media, new media technology has been expanding, so developing. So as you said, Garvey, communication and telling the story of space through these new media advancement is something that's happening rapidly. So we look forward to hearing about these developments as all these new initiatives to Gateway and Artemis happens in the near future. And I do want to say a little bit about how Spacetainment Coffee is a new space that opened in Omotesando, where amazing space insiders and leaders like you, Garvey, are having an in real life talk program at that space. It's crazy. If everybody has a chance, go to the website Spacetainment. Hopefully you could find the PTX link of events. They have a lineup that makes a space conference jealous. It's like really amazing people, and you could interact with them in like a small space. My studio is tiny, but it's pretty much as small, but much more cozier and intimate is my point. To learn and interact with these space specialists, leaders, and trailblazers, game changers directly is unheard of. Like, even I am really happy and honored and privileged to have this conversation with you, Garvey, but still we are virtually only connected, and I look forward to meeting you in person. The people who go to the Spacetainment Coffee program are going to be like right in front of you. So that's like, I would, if you're interested in that kind of opportunity, please check them out. And also, of course, Yasuo's project PION. For more information, go to his website, yasuonomura.com. Also, ombd.art has the project information and a lot of more exciting things about how live ISS movement is with the plate. And so you feel like it's so conceptual and somewhere up there, but actually when you see it in a map, it's like, it's real, it's happening. And that kind of digital communication that makes this experience much more personal is something that I am excited through to be able to provide through art. And of course, to tie it back into the US-Japan relationships, like having this whole conversation together is symbolic of US-Japan relationships, I think. And this, never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined, by being in the arts, I would have a talk like this, talking about space and art with you, Garvey, with you, Yasuo, is wonderful for me. And I look forward to much more opportunities like this to come. So I'm coming back to kind of like my closing remarks component here, but if you guys have any last words that you would like to say about about our discussion today, Yasuo, maybe you start.
Okay, thank you so much for the great opportunity. So I'm very excited talking, and it's still continuing to the decade. I will step into the on Mars actually. Yes, as my next destination of log road tour. Yeah.
Mars.
So with yours together. Thank you. And I would request for Gabi. So please take a message for Japanese people. So because this Japan and the US cooperation, and it is will be very strong leadership to the open the space age. But this time, our Japanese people, the Japanese society is degrees, and everybody lost the confidence. So please, the message to the people for regain the confidence for the future.
Thank you, Yasuo. I guess
Thank you.
the point was that you bring hope to us all, humanity, especially in Japan. Your presence there has been such a wonderful beacon of hope. So Garvey, if you could say something at the end to our fans here.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I think it's been really good conversation, and congratulations to Nomura-san for all of your PION project and for giving us a new way to think about space, and more importantly, your ideas to bring space to us people who haven't a chance to go to space. I think that's really, really important. And one of the reasons that we build stuff like the International Space Station, and we're going back to the Moon to the Artemis program, to allow all kinds of people, not only people who are involved in space, but people who have innovative ideas and technology and arts and other ways to be able to contribute. So I think, you know, you're a pioneer, a leader in that area, and I'm sure that you know, others will follow, and you'll continue to have innovative ideas. You know, just following off your Shiba-san, I was at the opening for Spacetainment a few days ago.
Thank you.
And congratulations to Kaho-san and Yasuo Yamazaki-san for opening up Spacetainment. And I'm looking forward to, as you said, attending many events there and hearing their speaker series and doing that. So for those who listen to Japan, I think that's going to be a great resource for us as well, having Spacetainment right there. And I think the Motasando area. I agree with everything you said, Shiba-san, except for natto. I've tried natto, and I haven't really developed the taste of natto. That's one of the only foods that I haven't tasted for. So I'm not sure whether it's here on Earth, or if I take it to space, I'll like natto. But I'm okay. I'll try it again. Maybe it's better in space. But I guess my over closing remarks is yes. So I think that you know, U.S. Japan, and my main point is U.S. Japan collaboration is at the all-time high. Japan is a great partner. We will continue to explore the universe together through robotic and human missions, and then take advantage of opportunities. And so your initiative, bringing artists together in Japan to be able to carry out their works in the Mecca of art in New York, is a very, very innovative idea, and I applaud you for doing that, and bringing someone as talented as Nomura-san over to New York to be able to do this. So keep up the good work, and I hope that NASA, as a government agency, in our role, can continue to make platforms and make it easier for people like you to be able to, and to use your ideas to explore space and find new innovative ideas to make space accessible to all. So thanks all. Thanks you very much. And then those are my closing remarks.
Thank you so much. No, that was beautiful. And I will say it's not, you don't have to apologize for not liking natto. It's your loss. I'm kidding. But it is interesting to think about how we have such different perspectives, but it is, the whole discussion's point was to embrace diversity. So you're okay to, you're okay as is. You probably like something I don't like. So, you know, but we're all unique. We're all different. We all come from different backgrounds, and we even change and develop by meeting and interacting with certain things. You interact differently towards a certain food. We interact differently towards certain cultural elements that we encounter. But I think these are all really exciting and wonderful things that we are witnessing. And as you said, US-Japan relationships and the space industry is at the all-time high. It is so, so encouraging to see that being together has enabled something so much more bigger and exciting. 1 + 1 is so much more than 2 is what we're witnessing right here. And because of that, there are exciting steps that we always thought, like I said this so many times, it's so sci-fi. already what is happening in the space industry, and it's going to even accelerate with robotics and AI and amazing technology that brings development to the industry. So me as a art world person, I'm really honored and excited to be involved in this capacity. I look forward to many more collaborations with NASA and the space industry and art industry and Japan and United States. All different things coming together to make something really exciting for humanity is really encouraging. And I know I was just excited, so my closing remarks went all over the place, but I hope our viewers who could not join us today live can see this in recording, hopefully, and to share the excitement. And for those lucky people who are able to see Garvey in person in Tokyo, I believe your program in real life, Space Time and Coffee talk program was on the 28th, something, end April. So check it out. Please go see it and learn more about space art project PION for Yasuo Nomura on our website, ombd.art or yasuonomura.com. I believe a studio Yasuo Nomura, something like that. We'll have it at J-Collabo's website anyway. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Garvey. I know it's late there, but I appreciate you being on this together. And we hope to see you soon in person, in Mars, or Pluto, or Moon.
Anywhere.
Anywhere. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Right.
See you soon.